Zoe, you can of course buy dumpling wrappers, which are easy to get, but it's also pretty easy to make your own. It takes a bit longer to do, but I'm going to show you how to make them.
All right, great.
What I'll start with is 2.5 cups of plain flour, which I'll put into the bowl here, as long as it's not self-raising, because you want it to stay nice and flat. Now, to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of cold water, straight in the middle here like this.
Shall I start stirring?
You can start mixing that around nice and gently. And some sesame oil. I've got a little bit of sesame oil here.
Nice.
About a teaspoon is what you need in there.
Lovely.
And also to season it up, grab about a teaspoon of salt to mix in there. And you sort of mix it through with a wooden spoon to get it going. But for me, I like to get my hands in there. And I'll sort of, let me get my hand in there.
Dirty?
The wooden spoon's good, but I reckon you sort of get in there and just sort of knead it up.
Smell that sesame oil in it.
It's great, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
So I'll just move that around like that. And all I'll do is put this bowl aside, and I'll just give this a little bit of a knead on the board here like this. So it just sort of comes together, and it looks a little bit dry, but as it sits there, it'll actually soften up a little bit. So all I'll do is pop the tea towel on top of it and let it sit there. Now we've got to make the filling. We've got some pork mince there, which I'll get you to put that straight into the bowl here. And with my knife, I'm just going to get some of these prawns. And what I've got is the prawns with the tails on. I'll just take the little tails off like that. And if you can get that garlic there, just about half a clove of garlic on the fine grater, and the same with the ginger, straight into that bowl there. You could use some mushrooms in there. You can sort of build it up with whatever you want. And these prawns here were, you know, just lying around the fridge, so I thought I'd chop them up. And I'd chop them up like this so they go all the way through it really, really well.
Lovely.
Now, what I've got here is some Chinese cabbage. And what I did is I just shredded it nice and fine and just sautéed it in a pan until it became soft.
I find that cabbage a lot sweeter than normal cabbage as well.
It's a great cabbage. You can do anything with it, you know. And what I've got here is some coriander. You can put as much in it as you want. I'll sort of just chop it up like this. You know, I've put kaffir lime leaves in this before.
Beautiful. Love those kaffir lime leaves. I think they're just gorgeous in their flavour.
And now for some onion flavour, I've just got these spring onions. I'm making it really chunky and coarse, you know. It doesn't need to be really fine, but I reckon this is sort of nice and rustic. Now, have you had garlic chives before?
I have had garlic chives.
Really pungent and strong, but I reckon they go really well in dumplings. And that's all you do. Mix that around like that.
Great.
Oh, some salt. We need some salt in there. And have you put any soy sauce in there yet?
No soy?
No soy. So if you grab the soy sauce, I'll put a pinch of salt in here. About a teaspoon, I reckon. We don't need a lot in there. I've got some pepper here, nice and coarse.
I love the Asian flavour with pepper. I think it really sort of sets things off.
So that's the mixture there. Now, while I'm waiting for my dough to rest, just to keep everything nice and safe, we pop this in the fridge, then we'll clear this up, then we'll roll out our dough, and we'll be ready to make our pot-sticking dumplings.
Sounds like fun.
Have a look at this, Zoe. I've let it rest, so see how it's nice and sort of soft and much easier to work with. And I roll it out into a nice little log. And what I'll do is I'll just get some of this flour.
Is that rice flour or any flour?
Just plain flour. And once you've got it in a log like that, what I'll do is cut these little sort of round pieces along. And from the recipe like this, you'll get, you know, between 20 and 30 dumplings, depending on how big you want them. But I'll just show you this. So what I'll do is grab one of these things here, and with my thumb, just sort of dust it with a bit of flour, and just sort of push it out, just gently, so it goes into a nice sort of round, all the way around.
Like being a kid again.
It is. And I've also got this thing, which is a little piece of dowel or, you know, a piece of broom handle, which you can cut off. Just don't get caught cutting it off around my house.
I did actually see that being cut.
Now, I'm going to sort of leave it a little bit sort of thick because I want to fry them off and I want it to be nice and sort of chunky. And see how easy it is with that little piece of dowel?
That's fun. That's fun doing this as well.
But I reckon once you've made about 10 or 20 of these, you'll sort of get the hang of it really well. The trick is when you're doing them is keep a little bit of flour on your finger so it stops it from sticking. Now, you've got the wrapper there. Now, the thing is when you're using pork and prawn, raw meat like that, instead of leaving it on the bench, you know, waiting for your dough to rest, you must put it in the fridge and keep it nice and cold. Now, what we've got here is our little dough, and I'm just going to grab about a tablespoon of this. And that little jug over there, if you can pass me that little jug, because that's what we're going to use to seal it. And all I do is grab a little bit of water here or vinegar or whatever you want to use, just around the outside here. And all you do is just sort of fold it over like that, nice and neatly. And with your finger, sort of pinch it. Now, if I'd been making millions of these, I'd have a little way of folding them. But I like the little crescent shape, you know? Because look at that. That's a great one, Zoe. So all we need to do is make a few more of these, just spread them out, and the best way to do it is sort of like a little production line sort of thing so that you do a few at once. There we go, just a little teaspoon. And you know what? Putting the garlic and ginger in there is nice and healthy.
Definitely.
You know? And look at that. In no time at all, we've managed to put together a few little wonky dumplings. There we go. We'll push that down. And then in my pan here, this is the way we're going to cook them. I reckon a great way is what we call the pot stickers. Where they're nice and sort of crisp on one side and they're sort of crunchy, and we've got a little bit of water in there. I'll show you how to do it. And what I've got is my pan on a medium heat. And what I'll do is I'll put some olive oil. If you can pass me that olive oil over there.
These are a bit like the Japanese gyoza.
Exactly the same. This is how you do it. I put a little bit of olive oil in there, but you could use vegetable oil, peanut oil, you know, and I've got some sesame oil here, so I'll put a couple of drops of that in there. That'll sort of flavour it as
lovely.
we go.
Good idea.
Now, the trick with these is not to overcrowd the pan. If you put too many in and they stick together, there's nothing worse. You want to sort of spread them around. You just sort of arrange them in the pan there on a medium-ish sort of heat, because you don't want to get them too hot. What you want to do is actually fry them on the outside till they become nice and crisp on the bottom.
Okay.
And then I'm going to pour some water in there, just about
interesting.
a quarter of a cup, which will help to steam it and cook the outside of the dumpling. And then I'll show you a little trick to finish it off. There you go, Zoe. Have a look at that.
That looks like it's cooked to perfection.
A little bit soft on one side and crunchy on the other. You know, give that a bit of a turn around. And all you do is just pop that straight on the plate like that. What I'll do is I'll get one of these and I'll just cut it in half. So excuse my fingers, but I just want to show you exactly what I mean. The pork's cooked, the prawn's cooked, you got that lovely dumpling. I want you to have a taste of that and I want you to tell me what it's like. Oh, it's hot. It's very hot.
Mmm. The pastry is much thicker than I'm used to having, but the flavours are really lovely.
That's what it's about. Just quick and easy dumplings, fried nice and crispy. I can't wait to try your steamed ones, though.
All right, they're going to be a little lighter, they're going to be delicious, and we can compare the two.